in, everyone. Come on in because we are back, y'all, for later daters. I hope y'all are enjoying the show. I am. Many of you have already binge watched it all the way to the end. I'm not at the end yet, y'all, but this is going to be a recap review of 4, 5, and 6. 4, 5, and 6. So far I did a video on number 1. So go back and watch number 1. Then go back and watch number 2 and 3. And then come back over here and join me for 4, 5, and 6. You got to watch all of them, y'all, because sometimes y'all be saying things to me in my video 4, 5, and 6. And I said, well, I said that in video 1. I can't repeat myself from video 1 in 4, 5, and 6. I got to keep it new. I got to keep it fresh. So if you want to ride along with me on this ride of how I started kind of maybe how I started seeing some of these couples, you got to catch me in the very beginning and then see how maybe some of my opinions have changed, because some of my opinions are changing. They really are changing. But first of all, they started off talking about Anise and Bill. And this is how I get my thumbnail title this week. I'm calling it Big Willie. Big Willie style. Since Anise want to call him Big Willie, I'm gonna go with you, Anise. I'm gonna go with you. And a lot of people are excited about Anise and Big Willie getting together. We're gonna go through the episode, and once I get there, I'll kind of tell you what I'm thinking about it. I'm excited for her because she's having a good time. So I'm always excited for a person when they're having a good time. But I don't really know if the choice of Big Willie is gonna move her forward in what she says she wants. I think he might be a good time for a little while, but I don't really see it being long term. So it just depends on what you want. If you just here for a good time, for a short period of time, so you could feel a certain kind of way, then hey, go on with Big Willie. Go on with Big Willie. But if you were really looking for like a long-term relationship, something that's going to last you now to the end of your days, I guess, whatever, I'm not quite sure Big Willie is the one. But let's start off first with the date that she was having with Bill. Remember, Bill's the white guy, and Anise was coming in all uncultured. I don't want to call it culture. That's not what I should call it. Inexperienced, showing a little bit of, I guess you could say it's naivete, but in a lot of ways, because she walks around and says she has a PhD degree, I don't want to call it naive. I want to call it more like unaware, unevolved. I don't know what I want to call it, because she got on this date and act like Bill was some sort of like unicorn out here in the world. She was already confused or surprised that he even wanted to go out on a date with a black woman. He said, well, to tell you the truth, Anise, I only date black women. And then she goes, oh, well, it's intentional. Girl, just like you only date black men, it's intentional. Okay, yes. He said, and my children are biracial. You're not the first black woman I dated. And she said, well, why do you like black women? Girl, that's like saying, well, why do you like me? I mean, I don't think you would like me. I mean, if you're a confident woman, why wouldn't you think anybody would like you? If you're a confident woman out here, what would make you think you shouldn't be attractive to almost any type of person? I don't know. Anyway, he says, well, I really like black women because I like their high energy. I like that they're very passionate. I like all these things about them. I don't really even know how you answer that question, because of course we know that there are white women that are high energy and high passion. So I don't know what Anise was looking for. Was she looking for like, oh, I got a fetish for black women? I don't know what she was looking for, but the question being asked is I don't know. It could be considered a bit offensive. But she said in that moment that the red flag that she realizes that she's waving, that she's a walking red flag, is that she hasn't dated anyone before that's dated interracially. And he also saw that as a red flag. He don't want to be no guinea pig. He don't want to be your, let me try it out and see what it's like, right? And so in a lot of ways, she was a walking red flag for him, because she had never even dated interracially. She didn't went on to ask, oh, is it hard to approach a black woman? Why would it be hard to approach a black woman? He said, nope, it's not hard at all, because he's used to rejection, just like black men approach a black woman and he gets rejected. Rejection is rejection. I mean, no matter who you approach, you can get rejected. So Anyway, I really didn't like the conversation that she was having at the moment. But in the end, Bill said there was no spark. He said that she's very confident, which is a euphemism for he probably thought she was a bit cocky. And he said there's no spark and there's no physical attraction. So there you go, Anise. You got what you wanted. He's really not attracted to you. Just like you thought white men could never be attracted to you, there you go. He's not attracted to you. And when she gets home, she starts telling her daughter about the date. And so there's going, oh, is he like white chocolate or is he white, white? Her daughter is very, very pretty. I like her daughter. Her daughter has a very good sense of humor. I think her daughter knows her mother very, very well. And but she keeps the laughs. She keeps the laughs coming. Um, it's so interesting about Anise that the expert she's starting to hone in on Anise a little bit, Anise a little bit, but she ain't all the way there. And what she's told Anise was that I know your image of yourself is one way, but that's not how people experience you. There it is. And this is what I've been saying about Anise. Anise has an image of herself. And what she's doing is she's trying to convince the world of her image of herself. But as you experience Anise, you don't actually experience her the way she describes herself. So what the expert is saying is you describe yourself as this open person, but I don't really consider you open. I consider you guarded. There you go. Even in this encounter she had with the white man, she didn't come with openness about interracial dating. She actually came with a lot of guardedness, a lot of questions, a lot of things she's not sure about, a lot of things she questioned. She questioned his intention. There was a lot of questioning. There was a lot of guardedness. So in one way, she describes herself as open, but she's really guarded. And this is what I was going back before. Even when she told the expert last time that, hey, men are intimidated by my PhD, that's how she's describing the situation. But as I've now seen her in situation, I tend to say, no, I don't think so. I think that Anise is a bragger, and I think that she's a flexer. And so I think as a result, she thinks people are intimidated, but really what they are is turned off, just like this white guy was turned off. And so a lot of people, and let's be honest, even Nate was turned off. There are a lot of people who are turned off by Anise. And what Anise believes is people like her for like maybe her personality, but really a lot of men are probably liking Anise for her body. Anise is 62 years old, but in a lot of ways, Anise has the same problem as a young woman who has a nice body. You know, you may get older, but sometimes things don't change. You see, have you ever met a real pretty girl and she's in her 20s, body's banging, everything's looking real good, but yet her personality isn't all that great? So although she can always attract a man, the problem is, can she keep a man? I know that's an old saying, and people don't like the saying, can you stick? Can you stick? And I think maybe after Anise's first marriage, I think Anise started to grow into more of herself, which is this person who she's become. I don't think she was this lady when she was married to her husband of 11 years, the one that passed away. I don't think this was the same Anise. I think Anise evolved into this person as a result of many different things. I don't know why. And now we stand before us a woman that's really proud of herself for a lot of her accomplishments and things that she's done. But the way she comes off when she's interacting with a person is guarded, a little bit stuffy, a little bit lot of asking a lot of questions, and it's not a pleasant experience necessarily in dating. We're going to get to the difference in Big Willie. We're going to get to the difference in Big Willie. But what the expert is trying to tell Anise right now is she needs to not be so guarded. She needs to let her guard down. And what Anise says is she's afraid of failing, and she doesn't have any room to be soft and to be strong. This is what she's saying. And I'm not buying it. I'm still not buying the excuse, because one is I think Anise likes to take up space in the room. When she says she needs to be encouraged to take up space in the room, I don't think she has a difficulty taking up space in the room. I mean, even the style of dress that Anise has, she walks into the room saying, I want to take up space in this room. I want some eyes on me. So in one way, what Anise is saying, how she's describing herself, like I keep saying, it's not the way that she's being experienced. So I think in a lot of ways, this expert is actually giving this expert is giving a whole lot of good advice. But with Anise, I actually think that she's giving Anise the wrong advice. Anise isn't a woman who you need to give her more self-confidence or esteem or whatever. I think Anise needs to make room in her life for her to see other people as her equal and not see herself maybe above them, because I think that's making her turn away from a lot of men, because actually what she thinks is she deserves better than that man, which means in a lot of ways it's not only a put down of maybe a lot of men, it's also an elevation of herself. And I think she's probably elevated herself a bit higher than maybe she should. She's kind of now taken away a dating pool because she's put herself up here. And I think the reason why she's put herself up here is for two reasons. I think it's the PhD, and I think it's the nice body. And I think for those reasons, for what she's praised for, she's then decided that these other things that I don't see that are so great with her in dating. I think it's great for her as a woman, as a girlfriend, but in dating, they're working against her. I want everybody to see that. There is a persona that can work in one world, but that persona doesn't work in the dating world. I had a good conversation with someone in the chat about, well, when you're a single mom, you have to be strong. And I didn't really get to elaborate on it, but I wanted to talk about the difference between being protective as a single mother and being strong and controlling. Because you never, ever want to control a person, not even your children. You want your kids to learn how to have free thought, to think for themselves. That's part of the problem now, that there's so many kids who weren't allowed to think for themselves. Now, as adults, they're kind of like need all the adults to do it. So controlling is never good. Controlling doesn't work when you're raising kids. Controlling is not good when you're on the job, because your employees feel like you micromanage them. And controlling doesn't work in a love relationship, because if a man feels like you're trying to boss them around or whatever. Controlling is never good. You can never put a good spin around it. So when people say that I'm controlling because I have to be, that's a cop-out. You don't have to be. You can still be protective over your children. You can be protective. Then if you want to be protective, then when you go to work, if you're a protective person, guess what you do? You'll fight for your employees. That feels different. Then if you're protective and you get in a relationship, then what you'll do is you'll want to take up for your husband, protect your marriage. Protectiveness is good. It is good in raising children. It is good in the workplace, and it is good in a marriage. Controlling is not good anywhere. So a woman says, I have to be controlling, I have to be in control because I'm a single mother, it's a cop-out. Stop saying it to yourself, because as long as you keep justifying it, you don't really have an incentive to get rid of it. And I'm telling you, no one wants to work for a boss that's controlling, and no one wants to be in a relationship that's controlling, that they're controlling, and no children want a mother that's controlling. The only person who puts up with controlling behavior are your girlfriends, because they know you can't control them. You have no power over them. But when you're a mother, you have power over your children. As a boss at work, you have power over those associates. Even in a marriage, you have you have a power in that relationship because you're a wife. And when you use that power to be controlling, people will resent you, right? But with a girlfriend, she has no fear of you overpowering her or having over controlling her, because you're just on a friendship level. So I'm telling you, any woman that's controlling, any woman who's now justifying and saying, I've got to be this way, it is harming you in all your relationships. It's harming you on your job. It's harming you with your children. And it is harming you in your love relationships. Get rid of it. Try your best. It ain't going to be easy, but try your best. Now we move on, that she said she's going to try to be more soft for her kids' sake. This is what she starts talking about. Um, she even tells the expert, the kids say I'm the same old person. I'm the same old person, but I'm different. I'm really different. And she said the kids don't see my difference. No, you don't see that you're the same old person. The kids are saying, yeah, mama, you might be in shape now. You might have got your glow up, but on the inside, mama, you the same person. But she don't want to accept it. Anise still wants to date according to who she believes she is and not how she's being experienced. And I'm telling you, that's going to hold her back. That's going to hold her back. But her daughter did give her her flowers and say, I respect your journey as a single mother. You had to do a lot. I respect that. And although I respect you for your journey, what she's really trying to tell her mother is, you still got to be different out here in the world. You really do have to be different out here in the world if you're going to be successful in the dating market. Um, So anyway, the expert is trying to get her to loosen up, and she says to him, "Hey, if you like the guy, why don't you go ahead and just ask him out a second time?" And Anise kind of old school, like a lot of the old school, say, "No, I don't want to do that because in the end, he gonna get there first anyway." See, that's that sort of arrogance. In the end, he gonna want to ask me out before I want to go out with him anyway. That's that right there. That's what I'm talking about. It seems like small little things, but is that little bit of sort of almost like a level of arrogance that permeates Anis's dating, and people pick up on it, and it's not attractive. It's not attractive because what you've done is you've elevated yourself above me already. Um, She went on to tell her daughter another story. "Yeah, I dated the star basketball player and he had all his attention on me." There's the flex again. It's the flex. Multimillionaires. I've dated basketball players. I've done this. I've done that. It's the constant flex that Anise does constantly. But in the end, we get over here to she meets Willie, big old Willie. And the daughter picked out Willie in a lineup, right? And she picked out the guy who was the most handsome, that had a picture of him coming out of a pool all wet with his shirt off. That was his profile picture, coming out of a pool, all wet, chest out, silver fox showing. He's just showing good looking, good looking, and good looking. And what the daughter knew immediately was that's who my mother's gonna want. That man right there, because he's fine. Because he's fine. She knows her mother. And her mother, just like she wants to be eye candy, she wants eye candy too. So Willie's only 55 years old. Y'all know what I think about 55 and 62. Do I think that it can work? Absolutely. I think a 55-year-old can date an older woman. I mean, we got a couple of those couples in my own family, right? Younger men, older women. So it's not that I don't think that it can work, but it depends on who the people are. I absolutely believe that. And so when they start interviewing Willie, one of the things we find out about Willie is he's a government canine specialist. He's been single for 7 years and he's got 5 kids. So I'm actually trying to figure out, was Willie ever married? Did I miss that? Did I miss that Willie was married? Or is Willie got 5 kids by multiple women, one woman he never married, or 5 kids by various women, 2, 3, 4, 5 women? So I want you guys to think of this. I want you to think of Big Willie's stats: 7 years single, 55, 5 kids, government canine specialist. And I want you to ask yourself, if Willie was just an ordinary Joe Blow guy, not looking the way he looked, would Anise like him? Would Anise like him? And I'm going to tell you, I don't think that she would. I think his looks, his body is what got her. Sure, she can say that he went to Africa, so she can say, "Oh, well, he likes to travel." That's not what sold her. She was sold the minute that she walked into that restaurant, because what she thought was, now, here's a guy that's on my level. And when she says her level, she meant her looks. Because intellectually, I'm going to tell you, Willie's not on her level. He's not on her level. And he's not intimidated, which is good. But Willie was having a few problems with the English language. He was having a few problems with the English language, unless he speaks a foreign language. So let me not say that. But he is enamored by the way that she looks. And what he said was, he can't hold back of how good she looks. And in a lot of ways, he thought he was being tricked. He was like, "Wait a minute. I know they told me who I was coming here to meet." And I think they must have told him that he was coming to meet an older woman. And what he was expecting was not Anise to walk through the door. That's what I think. I don't think that he was so taken aback by Anise because she's the most beautiful woman he's ever seen. I think they prepped him and said, "Hey, would you be open to dating an older woman? Because we don't really necessarily want to always send you out with a woman that's older." And he said, "Yeah, I would be open to it." And what he was really surprised on how good Anise looks, just like I was. Just like I was. And so she says to him, "Hey, do they call you Big Willie?" Big Willie. They laugh because I guess you don't know what Big Willie means. And he said, "You take my breath away." She was like, "Ditto, ditto, ditto, ditto." And They're both are feeling each other's energy. They're really feeling each other's energy. And she starts talking about how he's 55 years old. He's 6'3", and she loves all this. She's loving the entire package. She loves that he's younger, in the 50s. She loves that he's 6'3". She loves that he's fine. He said if he had to guess what age she was, he would have guessed 50 or 51. And he's getting so hot, he got to take his jacket off. He's getting so hot and bothered under the collar, he's got to take his jacket off because he's really, really enamored with Anise. Now, along the way, Anise tells him that her name is Anise Patricia. And but he can't get her name right. He can't even get her name right. He says, "Oh, Anise Patrice." And she goes, "No, that's not my name. It's Anise Patricia." And he must mess up her name at least 4 or 5 times. And what does Anise say? "That's okay. You ain't got to get my name right." You know why he ain't got to get her name right? Because he's fine. Because he's fine. She's going to overlook so many things about Willie because he's fine. She's going to overlook that he could have been a man out here with 5 kids by I don't know how many different women. She didn't even ask. She didn't even ask that question. He's 7 years single. Like I said, did I miss that he was married? Because she didn't even ask if he was married or has he been married. We haven't heard none of that. None of it whatsoever. She hasn't asked anything about is he educated? Nothing. She hasn't asked any of these questions. Anise is stuck on the physical. She's completely stuck on the physical. So here we are at 62 when in a lot of ways she isn't looking any deeper, even more meaningful than maybe a younger woman would. And so when she was on these other dates, guess what she was doing? She was peppering those men with a lot of questions, a lot of questions. Remember when she was on the date with Nate? Remember she was on the date with Bill? She asked them a lot of questions, right? A lot of questions. But it seems like with Willie, she wasn't really asking no questions because you know what? She's already sold. She's already sold. And, and now what she's doing is she's going to start doing her flexing again because now she wants to make sure that Willie is sold on her. And so she starts to talk about the fact that her name is Anise Patricia. And Anise means the chosen one, and Patricia means born into nobility. Get it, Anise. Get it, girl. And then she starts talking about, where are you from? He says he's from Chicago. He's from Chi-Town. I see that. He got that Chi-Town swag. I see it written all over him. Makes sense to me. I see that. I think they start talking about what was the best vacation you ever took. He said he went to Africa, Johannesburg. And then she went on to say, yep, I went to Singapore. I was in Bali for 2 weeks. And she then went on to say, he said, oh, you look like you're smart too. She goes, yep, I got a doctorate. He says, yeah, you just racking up points. Good, because that's what she's trying to do. She really wants to make sure she's racking up the points because a lot of these questions that she even asks is just so she can talk about her main points. But let me tell you, the chemistry between these two, you could really feel that the chemistry is on high, really on high. She has not realized that it might be a little bit of a red flag that he has never dated an older woman. She recognized the red flag in the white guy, or that she was a red flag to the white guy because she had never dated a white guy. She saw that as a red flag, but she hasn't identified that it could be a red flag that Willie has never dated an older woman. And what he said is, that's not the thing I do. If you heard what he said was, this is going to be new to him because it's not a thing he does. Because more than likely, Willie dates younger women because let's think about it. Let's be real. In order to be successful in dating, you got to be real. You got to be real. Willie is good looking. He's a very, very good looking 55-year-old man. He's got what a lot of women want. He's tall. He's debonair. He's good looking. He's got chocolate skin. He's smooth. He's kind. He looks like he's very kind. Willie got a choice of a lot of women, which might be why he got 5 kids. He got a choice of a lot of women. So you know what? You need to think about that when you're letting depending on what you want to do in the dating world. Do you want to just have a good time? Or do you want something more meaningful? And if you want to do something more meaningful, she needs to be asking more questions of Willie. And hopefully, it looks like they're going to have a second date. So we're going to get to learn more about the two of them in depth. But Willie already asking her out on another date. He said, we need another date for 3 hours, you and I, to go back out again. And of course, she's game. She's absolutely all the way there. Like I said, Willie's not coming off as the sharpest guy here up here in the head intellectually, if that's what she likes. But he looks like he knows how to good time. He's fine. He's intelligent enough. I'm not saying that Willie ain't smart. I'm not saying that at all. I don't want nobody getting mad at me because I could have conversations with Willie. I think he's intelligent enough. But when I think about what Anise was saying she wanted, the only thing I see so far from him is that he's good looking and he's done a little bit of traveling. But remember when she said one of her problems in dating has been that the men like to dip in a lot of candy jars. That's what she said. She said one of her problems in dating was that all the men she dated, they always want to be dipping in other candy jars, which means other women. So is Anise really doing anything differently right now with Willie? Or is she almost about to date the same way she always dates? Big Willie style. Big Willie style. I'm picking up she's dating the same way she always wants, was Big Willie style. And really, if I'm a dating coach for Anise, I probably let her go as a client. Because what Anise is starting to do is she's not really trying to change her dating style. She just wants you to find her a person just like who she is and what she wants. Right? And so as a result, she's not trying to shape what she wants to fit what's best for her. She just wants you to find her a fine man that won't cheat on her. That's what she wants. And as a dating coach, that's going to get old. That's going to get old. And in the end, they're just going to let her go out there and do whatever she wants to do. But as we move on to the next person, we're going to move on to Lori. Lori. And the advice to Lori is going to be, Lori, don't come in on dates so rah-rah. Lori is rah. And she ain't easy to date. Everybody's telling her she's not easy to date. But she getting ready for this next date that she's going to have with this guy named Ty. She got her legs showing. I like that, Lori. Thank you, Lori. I like she had her legs out. Her legs was looking good. She had her heels on. She was looking cute. I think this was a lot better. She still got on those big old glasses. She didn't take the advice of the expert on that. But she ends up meeting this guy, Ty, who's 59. He's divorced, 7 years single with 3 kids. He's an investor and he's an entrepreneur. And the minute she walks in, he says, ooh, I love your matching toenails. Because he got a foot fetish. He loves a woman with a good manicure and pedicure. And soon as Lori heard that he likes that, she's like, that's good. Are you going to pay for him? Lori was like, well, if you admire something so much about me and you want to keep it going, then you got to be prepared to pay for him. And he said, that's your will. He said, I will take you, I'll pay for it, and I'll pick you up. There you go. I'm with you, Ty. Listen, if you want your woman to invest all this money to herself, be willing to put up some money for it. And what he's saying is, that's fine. I'll do all 3. And she said, there you go. There you go. And they're sitting down, they're having a conversation, and she starts to say, you sure do look familiar. You look familiar. Come to find out, we learn later on that these two had met years earlier in 2017 on Plenty of Fish. Plenty of Fish. And back in 2007, Plenty of Fish, Lori says, you ghosted me. You ghosted me. The minute we figured out that she had dated him in 2007 and he ghosted her back then, this is not going to be a go. This is not going to be a go. Because whatever reason he ghosted her from before on Plenty of Fish, there was something about her he didn't like, and he ghosted her. And although he can't remember right now on this date right here, he's going to remember pretty soon. And he's going to want to ghost her again. And in the end, I believe that's what happens. He doesn't really become interested. And the reason why he's going to do it again is because Lori is the same woman she was in 2017. In 2017, when she was on Plenty of Fish, she was the same woman. Once again, we're getting people wanting to be in the dating world as the same woman. They're really not changing themselves. They don't want to change. They just want to keep finding a person who accepts all this stuff about them that people are like, no, I need you to change some of those things. And Lori don't want to do it. Lori does not want to do it. And one of the things that Lori does on her dates, which is really off-putting, is she peppers them with a lot of questions and interviews them. She says, oh, this is what I do for a living. But let me tell you something. I don't even agree with that, because even if this was your interviewing style in a professional world, it doesn't make a person feel warm and comfortable. So I don't believe that. I don't believe you could say, oh, in the interview world, I'm used to interviewing people. That's why I end up doing it on dates. But I'm thinking, when you interview people in the professional world, is this how you conduct an interview? Because the way you're firing off these questions, you're bombarding a person. So I can't even see how it could be good even in the professional world. It goes back to what I'm saying. People start to take these things and start to put nice spins on them. Oh, this works well for me in my profession. No, it doesn't. If this is your style of getting to know a person, even in the professional world, it's not a good style. And it's not a good style even in dating. It's not. They both say they like intellectual conversation. And then she starts saying, uh, do you like, then she starts saying, how do you feel about a woman in the spotlight? He says, okay, yeah, I'm okay with it. Well, how do you feel about getting married again? I mean, it's question after question about this question. I'm like, oh my gosh, Lori, just stop it. Just stop it. She says, what does dating look like to you? And what's it like to be in a relationship with you? Stop it, Lori. I don't know if Lori asked so many questions because then they don't get to ask any of her. It's another way of her being able to hide, just like she hides behind those glasses. I guess if you keep asking the question, no one gets to ask you any questions. Is that the game that she's playing? And then she says, well, why are you looking over there? Why are you looking over there? Why don't you stay focused on me? Oh my gosh, this is uncomfortable. This is really what uncomfortable. It throws me off when you're looking all around. Girl, take a gummy, take a chill pill. Before every date, besides changing those glasses, Lori gonna need to take a gummy because she needs to learn how to relax. She needs to learn how to relax. I mean, he starts to talk about how he enjoyed the date because he kind of likes the way Lori's picking him apart. I said, do you really? You like being picked apart like this? He said he kind of liked it. I said, really? You know why he likes it? Because later on he tells us something about himself. He says that he's a narcissist. He's a narcissist. And what narcissists like to do is they like to fight. They like to fight. And you know what? This now what he's telling her is, ooh, I like this woman. She got some fight in her. She got some real spunkiness, some spark in her. And I could go back and forth with her because probably what goes on with, what's his name? Ty, is that he is a narcissist. He even said it about himself. And what he does is women don't want to be around that. People don't want to be around argumentative people all the time. And what he's saying is, I kind of like Lori because I think she can take what I got to dish out. She can take what I got to dish out. He's saying, I don't have to really consider a woman's feelings that much because it looks like Lori can handle herself. She's tough. She can handle herself. Be careful of a man who likes a tough woman. He likes a tough woman sometimes because he wants you to be able to take his punches. He likes an independent woman because he don't want to have to do nothing for you. Women, stop looking at these as good things when people say it about you. They're not good things. They're not good things at all. Then he says, we can go out on the second date. He goes, where you want to go? She go, be creative. He said, do you want to go bird watching? She say, no. Well, Lori. When someone says, when you give person a free will to go out and plan a date and be creative, and when he tells you what he wants to do, because what he's trying to tell you is that's something that he likes to do. I want to introduce you to something I like to do. She says no. Well, Lori, you're not really open. You can't tell a person to be creative, come up with some good ideas. And when they come up with ideas and they want to show you their world, show you a little bit behind their own curtain, what they like to do, you shut it down and you say no, and you become what? Controlling. Controlling. Now you're going to get mad that you got to pick out all the dates. You see, this is how women get in a trick bag, because what they'll say is a man never plans a date. He never does that, because when he plans a date or he says, let's go here, people shut him down. And eventually he just stops planning them. And then you're mad because he doesn't plan any. So your controlling behavior has allowed you not to experience new spontaneous things, because what you want to do is you want to control every minute, where you go, how you go, when you go, and where you go, right? So she shut that down. He says, okay, how about we go hiking? And she said, well, maybe a nature walk, but not hiking. Girl, this not going nowhere. Let me tell you, if a man turned you down in 2017, some people can say, well, he can come back around. Maybe he regrets it. He's coming back around. No, he's not going to regret it. He's not going to regret it, because after a while, he and Lori going to be going at it verbally jousting. They're going to be going at it. In the end, he didn't call her back, so they're not going to have no more. It fizzled out, and she said she don't want to build no man. She was all upset because he had on a white t-shirt underneath a button-down shirt. And she said at this point in time, she doesn't want to make any man better. And she's not willing to invest in no man. And she don't want to build no man. So here we have Lori. She don't want no man to build her, and she don't want no man to build him. So what she's saying is, I don't really want to adjust to a man, and I also don't want a man to have to adjust to me. That's what she's saying. So she's saying, I want a man who's going to want me just as I am. So she's stubborn in two ways. One is she doesn't want to adjust to a man at all, right? In another way, she doesn't even want a man to have to adjust to her. So any man that doesn't like what she likes, she's not going to like him either. If she don't like him, she ain't going to like him. And if he don't like maybe something about her, it's going to be a turn off to her. The expert has honed in on a few things. This is a way that you can reject a man before they reject you. You see, this is a way to reject a man before they can reject you. She says she really likes this Felton guy, but she knows she's in the friend zone, which is so interesting. You keep talking about this Felton guy, but I'm not getting any vibes from Felton that he really likes you. I'm not getting any at all. He may say anything. I know we saw these texts about, I missed you, baby. I missed you, baby. But when she's asking these questions of Felton, he don't even want to come around. Something ain't right about Felton. Talk about he gave her a bottle of wine. He probably gave her a bottle of wine so she could promote his wine. It wasn't no real gift. It was like, here's a free swag, some free swag from a free sample of my wine. And maybe you could give me a plug when you on the television or media and talk about my wine and how good it is. I don't know. Felton don't seem like she interested in Lori. They seem like they over there in homie vibes. Homie and friendship vibes. I'm not feeling it right now, y'all. I am not really feeling it. One of the really biggest eye openers was when that therapist sat down, or not therapist, the dating coach sat down with Lori and her kids. What an eye opener. I talked about it on the last part, was that maybe a lot of people can learn about their dating technique and how they appear in the world by asking your children, your adult children. And her children said she doesn't really give men a chance. And she said a lot of men probably won't want to date her because of her personality. Here she is, a media personality, right? But yet her own kids are saying a lot of men probably wouldn't want to date her because of her takeover type personality. And the coach started saying, you know what? Maybe one of the ways I can get Lori to change on dating is to show her how men are experiencing her by the way her children are experiencing her. And so what the coach said was, how do you feel when your mom interrupts you all the time? And those children got to talk about how after a while they just shrink and let their mother talk on their behalf. You see what I'm saying? And there was a part of Lori, I think, that when her kids were saying it, I think she almost wanted to cry. I think she wanted to cry. And her daughter had to tell her that it wasn't until she went away to college that she actually start finding her own voice, because she's lived up underneath her mother so long, and her mother takes up all the room in the house, right? Her daughter started talking about it wasn't until she finally went out in the world that she could start standing 10 toes down on who she is. Her daughter is getting such a late start in life, learning who she is. And the therapist, the expert Lori said to her, people aren't attracted to your energy, Lori. You keep thinking it's intimidation. And the expert told her what I said is not intimidation. They're not attracted to it. No one's attracted to you talking all the time. And I mean, when this expert started honing in on Lori, I was like, please, yes, Lori, please listen to her. Please listen to her. These metaphors that this professional was using, she says, you need to turn the volume down a little. She says, people want people to be a safe space. They want you to feel like home. You feel like an airport. Oh my gosh. I was like, thank you. This is what Lori has been needing to hear her whole life. And she has not heard it. She's had people tell her things like, oh, men are intimidated by you. Oh, you have a great personality. And what this expert is telling her is, no, girl, it's hard to engage with you, right? Because you're just so rah. You're a busy airport. People want a landing spot. People want home to feel safe and secure and calm and peaceful. They don't want to feel like they at the club all the time or on a busy 405 traffic freeway with cars whizzing by them all the time. And that's her. She doesn't know how to be still. She doesn't know how to be quiet. She takes up all the room in the all the space in the room. And I think the reason why she does it is because she thinks that's what she has to do to get people to like her. She thinks she's got to be funny, or she's got to be entertaining, or she's got to be smart, or she's got to have a lot of conversation. And that's why people will like her. And in the end, that's actually why people are not liking her. The very thing that she thinks she needs to do more of to attract people to her is actually what's pushing people away from her. And she says she's afraid of being hurt, but yet the techniques she's using to draw people to her are techniques that are actually causing people to run away from her. So you don't want to be hurt, but yet the techniques you're using are pushing people away. She says she wants to move more softly and more ladylike, but boy, oh boy, she's got to acknowledge that her personality is damaging, right? Right now, she thinks of it as, oh, it's an option for me to change who I am. And I want her to get to the point where she goes, no, it's not an option. It's a necessity. It's a necessity. She's really got to put this therapist, this expert tried to put her on a 5-minute timer of not talking, and she couldn't even do it. She couldn't even do it. I mean, there are challenges with babies where you tell them to sit in a corner for 5 minutes or sit in this chair for 5 minutes and don't do anything. And even the children can pass that 5-minute test. Lori failed the 5-minute test. She couldn't sit and listen to her children without commenting. It was sad to see her go and try to ask out Felton, saying that she has a birthday party coming up. Do you want to come? And he basically didn't say he wanted to come. Yeah. I don't know if Felton is soft and doesn't want to hurt her feelings. If Felton is shy, I don't know what's going on with Felton because he don't open up his mouth. But maybe one of the reasons why she likes him is because I guess she can talk for him and think for him, because he ain't doing neither. He ain't talking in. He's not saying his feelings. He's not barely have very little conversation. And so, well, maybe Lori is attracted to that because she can overtalk him. But guess what? He don't like the feeling. He don't like the feeling, not one bit, not at all. They end up sending Lori out on a date with Martin. He was never married, 3 kids, 6 grandkids, and owner of an HVAC system. Man, all these unmarried men out here producing all these babies, never married none of the women. But he a church man. I don't know, did he get saved after these 3 kids with no marriages, or was it before? But he's in New Birth Church. That's where he goes. Come to find out, they both go to New Birth. And he realizes right away that she's particular. There go that euphemism. There go that euphemism when people call you certain names to give it a nice spin, but really they don't mean it in a nice way. He said she's very particular. He don't like her. I tell you right now, he does not like her. And they go out and they do some candle making. And he says that he's moved his mom in with him. And, you know, one of the things he says is he doesn't do a lot of things for himself. He's always doing things for others. Well, then why didn't you never get married? Why didn't you do something for those women and marry them since you was having babies with them? I don't believe it. I don't believe it. Let me tell you something. Show me the proof. Don't if anything, this show is teaching everybody, don't listen to people how they describe themselves. Experience them. Experience them for yourself, because a lot of people are walking around with fake and false images of themselves, but yet when you read the story of their life, it doesn't line up with how they describe themselves. Okay. So I'll have to be the judge, Martin, of whether or not you're a person who always looks out for other people and not yourself. I would have to know the circumstances why you fathered three children and never looked out for maybe trying to create a family unit with any of those children and any of those women. Somewhere along the way, you did think of yourself, because that's what you chose. You chose yourself. You didn't choose the children. You didn't choose the woman. You chose yourself. So this idea that you never choose yourself, that can't be true. That absolutely can't be true. He says right now he's an ordained deacon. And Lori says, I don't know if we're going to work out too much because I cuss too much. She goes, I can go to church, but I can't be married to no deacon, because I don't know if you can handle me and all my cussing. So then she starts right away with the questions with him. Says, do you like an aggressive woman? Girl, nobody like an aggressive woman. What do you mean? Who wants an aggressive woman, period? Do you mean assertive? Take the word aggressive away. Are you aggressive, or do you mean you're assertive? Lori, 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 Lori. So then she starts going on talking about she loves to do events and parties and things like that. Do you like to go out? And basically, he don't want to go out. He a deacon. He gotta get up and go to church on Sunday, and he got to be there early for devotional and everything else, setting up, all that, all that. He got to do all that. So no, he ain't going out on Saturday night. He got to get up early for church. And she started talking about, yeah, I'm having me a party. He was like, well, you gonna invite me? Lori didn't even want to invite him, but girl, you talking about the party. How are you going to talk about the party and not invite him? So in the end, she says she's going to invite him. Um, but she says she got some rough edges. She don't know if they're going to be compatible. Let me answer for you, Lori. The answer is no. You're not compatible. You're not compatible. And the expert is telling her one of the problems with Lori is Lori thinks she needs her twin version. And really, what Lori may need is a person to balance her out, to calm her down, to bring her down a notch or two. And I know Lori is running around saying that she wants her twin so that he can match her energy. And that's because she doesn't want to change. Lori doesn't want any pressure to have to be different. And the reason why she wants her twin is so that she doesn't have to change. But in the end, I'm going to tell you what, Lori's not going to like her twin. And the reason why she's not going to like her twin is because the twin is going to overtalk her. And then guess what she's not going to do? Be able to talk. They're going to be in competition for talking. Really, what Lori should be looking for is someone that doesn't talk as much to her so she can have the floor a lot of times. But what she has to be willing to do is when that person has had enough and that person is, full of all her talking, she can tone it down. But Lori doesn't want to do that. Lori wants the floor, and she wants a person to be able to take all her energy. Well, the person who can take all your energy, Lori, is a person who's going to want to overtalk you, and that's not what you're going to want. So, Lori, to get what you want, you're going to have to change. If you want to be able to talk like you do, you got to have a person who's going to be willing to listen to you. And then what you're going to have to do in exchange is when that person wants you to tone it down for a second or two or a minute or an hour, you're going to have to be willing to do it. But Lori's not willing to do it because when she was put on that 5-minute timer so her children could talk, Lori couldn't even keep her mouth shut for her children. So if you can't keep your mouth shut for your children for 5 minutes, how would any man expect you to keep your mouth shut for them for more than 5 minutes? Nope. She don't want to do nothing different. Nothing. Then we move on over here to Nate. Nate is out here. He goes on another date with this date, Lisa. So when he sees Lisa, Lisa's very, very gorgeous. She's very attractive. And he's giving her tons of compliments. He definitely likes the way she looks. And he compliments her and says she's got a flair to look good. She likes her outfits. He likes her outfit. He likes her wardrobe. And we find out that she was married 33 years, together with her husband for 38 years, and she has 2 children. And I knew right then and there that he wasn't going to like her. That's all I had to hear. You know how I knew? Because Lori is already presenting as a wife. She's been a wife for 38 years. Lori's a wife, and Nate don't really want no wife. He wants a a thought over there. That's what he wants. He doesn't want a wife. And Lisa is coming off too much of a wife for him. Lisa really is probably the person he kind of needs to be with, but he's still out here looking for a thought. That's what he's looking for. He wants a woman who's going to be a freak in the sheets. And what he's thinking is, I don't really know if Lisa's a freak in the sheets because she was married for 38 years. She's a little too wholesome for him. That's what she's thinking. Um, I know later on he finds out that her kids live with him, and that's a turnoff for her, and that's a turnoff for him, and that's a turnoff for a lot of men, right? Because what he's saying is, when I want you to sleep over my house, or I want to sleep over your house, when we get in our groove on, we can't really do it because you got kids in the house. And if I ever want you to move into my house, can your kids take care of them? A lot of men, older men, are saying that. I have older men in our circle of friends that are older and single, and what they say about a woman that has a older child living with them, a lot of those older children can't afford to live on their own, right? They can't afford their own rent, so they're kind of, the mother and the child, the son or daughter, are helping each other financially. When a man then wants to take this woman as a wife or a girlfriend and move him into his house, because I have friends, I have male friends who own their own homes, who would love this woman, maybe marry this woman and move this woman into his house. The problem is, what he said is, and this is a real story, that those women have children whereby she really can't move, because then the children would have to move with her. And the only other option is for the children to stay in the house. The mother still supplement the household for those children, and then she can move into the house with the man. And he's okay with it because his house, he pays his own bills. It's not a big deal. But they find a problem with that. They find a problem because the woman is now, even though the woman is living with them, her money is going to support grown children in another house. It poses a problem for men. I know a lot of women don't see it that way, but that's a problem for a lot of men. And it's a problem for Nate. It's a problem for Nate for a lot of reasons. But the heart of Lisa, the softness of Lisa, the kindness of Lisa, the sweetness of Lisa, when you hear her talk, I actually believe that would have been a good person for Nate. But she's not giving off enough thought energy. She's giving off too much wife energy, way too much wife energy. So, he has to tell his story again, his vulnerability of how he's was injured in the armed force. You could tell he really don't like telling this story because Nate likes to appear perfect. And every time he tells this story of how he broke his back and his knee, he's got to talk about his imperfections, and he don't like talking about them. You got other ones, Nate. This ain't the only imperfection you have, so you might as well get used to talking about them. But this is the one that pains him the most. And we actually got to hear a little bit more why it pains him, because we told the story this time about how he really wanted to be a lieutenant in the Army, but because he got hurt, he had to retire as a captain. And he talked about how all his other friends retired as lieutenants and all these different things. And it really hurt him and hurt his career trajectory. And I think there's a source of pain there with that. So, Lori, what's her name? Not Lori. Lisa really likes him. She's giving him a lot of compliments about his date, his dimples, talking about how good he looks. She's showing him a lot of enthusiasm that she wants to go out on a date with him again. And he's not going to go out with her. He's not going to go out with her. He still wants a thought. And the expert says, Nate is doing this dating style, which is called where he always wants to keep looking around. He ain't never been married. Men who've been looking around for 56 years, they still want to look around. They doing the same old thing. Nate is out here still wanting to look around. And what the expert is saying is, if you really want to be in a relationship, Nate, you're so busy trying to run away from red flags, you're not running to the green ones. You mean Lisa's not even going to get a second date? This date, all because she got 2 kids living at home? You haven't even heard whether or not her kids are living at home but can afford to live on their own. You haven't even heard the whole story. Nah, Nate, you're not trying to get with Lisa because she ain't got enough thoughtness in her. I know exactly what's going on. Exactly what's going on. The expert is trying to say, well, I can understand Nate trying to still keep his options open and taking it slow. He's trying to date differently. Girl, no, expert, this is dating the same. This is what he's been doing for 56 years, keeping his options open. No, he needs to make a decision and pull a trigger. He got that girl over there on ice for 30 years. The girlfriend, the mama, baby mama? I forget her name already. She's over there on ice for 30 years already. What do you mean he's dating differently? No, he ain't dating differently. He's dating the same. He just put Lisa on ice. This is crazy. This is really, really crazy. Um, oh, the next thing they asked the question of Nate Jackie, that's her name. The next thing they know, they asked the question of Nate and Jackie, the obvious question, why aren't you two dating? The obvious, why aren't you two together? Because she's popping up at the house every 5 minutes talking about I was in the neighborhood. We might as well give her a key. Why not just give her a key? Because she's talking about I'm in the neighborhood and she just popping up. And then what they do is he says, well, do you want to answer first? And so she says, you know what? We considered it and we both thought about it. I know he thought about it, girl. And she says, when I met him in college, I was just looking for a hookup, not a relationship. Okay. So this is 30 years later. What you looking for now? You still looking for hookups because he ain't neither one for you. Or you're not hooking up with him, are you? Or are you still looking for a hookup? Are y'all friends with benefits? What's going on? But as we got to know each other, we aren't compatible in that respect. I'm not buying none of this. We're more like brothers and sisters. First of all, you're not like brothers and sisters. All this popping up, I'm in the neighborhood, all of this not brothers and sisters. This is not brother and sister energy I'm getting, not at all. This, if you brothers and sisters, then it's some incest or something. I don't know what's going on. But in the end, he ends up going out on another date with this young lady named Michelle. And the minute I saw Michelle, I was like, oh, he gonna like her. He gonna like her because one is she got the hair flowing. He's gonna like her because she's got a little spark to her, a little sexiness. She throwing it out there a little bit. You can see her twerking on the dance floor, and he's gonna like all this. He's gonna like all this little bit of wild in her because that's really what he's looking for. And I'm not gonna say she's a thought because I don't think that's what she is at all. But he's gonna like this little va va boom that she's giving. You see, she's not really giving off wife vibes. She's giving off, this is a girl I could go out with. I could have a good time. She's funny. She's outgoing. And she might be a freak in the sheets. That's what he's thinking. I already know what he's thinking. I think Michelle is very pretty. She's 55. She's been divorced 2 times. She's 8 years single and she got 3 kids. There's really not anything that Michelle needs to change about her because I think she's just fine. I think the problem is the person who Nate hunts for. So when I'm saying these things about Michelle, I'm not saying it because anything's wrong with Michelle. I actually like the way Michelle is presenting herself on the date. But because I know of who Nate is and what he's looking for, that's how I knew he was going to like her. That's how I knew he was going to like her. But in the end, I think there's probably going to be more substance to Michelle than Nate is realizing because Nate is shallow. Nate is shallow. And I think eventually Michelle is going to figure it out. And I don't know if they're going to really make it because I think Michelle has a lot more to her than what Nate is giving her credit for. But right now, he's trying to sum her up as how she going to be in the bedroom. I already know who he is. But then again, I don't know. Michelle is over here talking about, I hope I can meet a man that can last longer than 60 seconds. So, you know what? I don't know, Michelle. We'll have to see. But she's curvy. And then the expert is saying that, oh, here it is. This is when the expert called Nate a maximizer. A maximizer. He's the person that wants to take a little bit of every woman and put that woman all in one package. And that becomes the way he wants to maximize. He wants to build a woman like build a bear. He wants a little bit over here, a little bit over here, and a little bit over there. And what he likes about Michelle right now is her va va boom, her energy. He's really, really loving that. He's loving it. It's what he likes. So anyway, they seem to have a good conversation. She's from Chicago. She's a military brat. Plus, she was in the Army. And then he also talks about how she did 4 years in food service because she kind of basically bombed the test. And so they basically offered her a low position. And they start talking about football, that he's a Falcon fan. She's a Saint fan. And he likes that she's a fireball and she's very intelligent. And she said she liked to dance. She liked to dance. She liked to twerk. And he said, well, if I dance too much, then I can't get back up. I'm a papa knee. So here you go. Once again, Nate, wanting this va boom woman, this fireball woman. She likes to dance. She likes to go out. And now you tell her you can't even dance with her because you might pop a knee or hurt your vertebrae again. So already she got to deal with a man that don't like to dance. And that's what she likes to do. I tell you. She was the one eventually that said, hey, let's take a selfie together. And he was like, well, that's my line. That's my line. Exactly, Nate. Nate been doing the same thing for 56 years. When she said, let's take a selfie, he's like, wait a minute, that's what I do. What I do is I bring flowers, I take women out, I take selfies, I do all this stuff. I sleep with women, and then I don't want to wife them, and I don't want to make them my long-term girlfriend. This is what he does. But she had some words for him. She said, yeah. She said, let's take this picture together, and then I can put those crusty feet as your profile. Woo, Michelle, girl, girl, girl. When you said take those crusty feet and put them in the profile, I know Nate was hurt. I know he was hurt because Nate liked to be perfect. I bet the next day Nate is down at the pedicure place getting him a pedicure. Because when Michelle called his feet crusty, I know he went right down and got them feet done. Because like I said, Nate liked to be perfect. He likes to be perfect. Then as soon as he come off this date, he got to come home, and Jackie got to run back over there again, talking about I'm in the neighborhood. Ding, ding dong, I'm in the neighborhood again. Girl, girl, you are annoying ringing this doorbell. How was your last date? So now they're playing the newlywed game, and he's up here talking about what's my name that I want to be called with my grandkids. Newlywed questions. Who's my favorite rapper? Nate, if she knows you so well, why don't you be with her? Why don't you be with her? But anyway, she started asking how was the last date, and he said he kind of messed up in the beginning because he wasn't on point. He didn't have the flowers. He had to go back and get them. That's a small mistake. That ain't even really considered a mistake. Who cares about that? But he does because he wants to be perfect. He says he likes her sense of humor. And he said maybe he'll go on a second date or maybe he won't. Maybe he'll just stay on the single journey. Are you going to stay on the single journey? We already know what you're going to do, Nate. You're going to stay on the single journey. You're really married to Jackie over here. Really, the relationship that they have is Jackie really is the wife of Nate. And then what he does is he goes out and cheats on Jackie with these other women. He's like a married man who likes to cheat, a married man who's never going to leave his wife, but still wants to cheat with other women. That's Nate. He's married to Jackie. They're married. But then what he does is he wants the sexual compatibility with another woman. That's why that's really all he's looking for out in the world. Nate is only looking for a sexual encounter with other women because what he really wants in a friend, a wife, companionship, all that, he already has it with Jackie. He doesn't need a woman for that. So this ain't going nowhere. And now we're moving on to Slouching Pam. And what she's realizing is she needs to learn how to keep her mouth shut a little bit more and not talk so much nonsense. But she admits that silence feels weird to her. But the expert tells her a lot of times you seem to want to stop things for something happening because you don't want to get hurt. You don't want to get rejected first. And even though she had a good date with Paul, remember Paul was the singing TikTok man. Paul ain't calling her back. Paul ain't interested. He blew her off. So there ain't going to be no second date over there. He always talked about how busy he was. He ain't got time, blah, 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 that. Basically, he ain't interested. I'm telling you, no, not too many people are interested in this energy that both Pam are bringing, the energy that Lori's bringing. No one's really that interested in all this type of energy too much. It's a little bit overwhelming. So then she gets ready to go out on this new date, dressed like she about to go to Woodstock, based in the 60s with her go-go boots on. And she goes out on a date with this man named Dwight. Dwight's a black man. He's 70 years old. He's a tour director. He's got one kid, never married. And the minute that Pam found out that Dwight had a business, she was like, ooh, I want to work for you. Oh, Pam, girl. Pam said she want a man where she can get a job and start making some money because we saw that tarp on Pam's house for that leaking roof. Pam needs a little bit of extra money because that house is falling apart. She can't afford to keep it up. She's retired from being a flight attendant, and her maybe her pension and her 401k is not enough to really satisfy her. Maybe she owns Social Security too much. And the minute she found out that Dwight had a business and that maybe it was a business she could do something with because she likes to talk, that's all of a sudden how she really became interested in Dwight. She's interested in Dwight for a business opportunity. That's it. He's tall and he's sweet. He's from New York City and he does these Atlanta tours. And she was like, "You got a gold mine." When she said he got a gold mine, I was like, not Pam giving off gold digger vibes. She up here looking at his business, talking about we could do something with this business. We could make a lot of money. Girl, are you here for him or are you here for this business? She was like, "We need to exchange telephone numbers." We need to exchange telephone numbers. But in the end, I don't think he's texted her. I don't know if he texted her. I don't know if he picked up on those vibes that Pam was giving off, that she was looking for a business opportunity and maybe not necessarily a love relationship. But she said, in the end, even if he don't like me romantically, we could be good friends. Girl, you could be good friends because you could get you a job and make you some extra money. Pam is looking for a part-time job. A part-time job. Let's be real, Pam. Let's be real. And then we move on over to Suzanne and Avery. And I like Suzanne. I really like Suzanne. But let me tell you the vibes I'm starting to get from Suzanne, because Suzanne and Avery were vibing really, really well. But we come to find out Avery is another man that has a young child. She already didn't like that guy last week. I forgot his name because he had the two children. One was 19 and one was 16. And he wasn't a Georgia Bulldog fan. It was Frank. That was his name. Now she's been having a really good time with Avery, but Avery is over here now with a I think he got a 14-year-old, y'all. So as much fun as Suzanne had with Avery, she still doesn't want a man that has young children. She does not want to deal with it. Um, so at first I was wondering why, she was kind of being a little bit trying to put on the brakes with Avery, but now we find out why, and it really is because of the young child. But they got a lot of chemistry. I mean, he went to a Georgia Bulldog game with her. They had a good time. They seem to have a lot of laughter. But he even started to pick up on the fact that he saw Suzanne pulling back. He was like, "You look like you scared of me." And she's like, "I ain't scared of you. I'm not scared of you." And but I guess she didn't want to tell him that I don't like the fact that you have young children, because I think she really did have fun with him. But the 14-year-old son is like a deal killer. And I think the expert is trying to get her to the point where pet peeves versus deal breakers are two different things. I think the whole thing around the Georgia Bulldog fan is a pet peeve and it's not a deal breaker. So I think she needs to maybe work with that a little bit as opposed to calling it a deal breaker. But I kind of feel like she's not going to choose Avery because one because of the child, and because he is such an Alabama fan, and that's more of a rival, right? So it's one thing to not be a big Georgia Bulldog fan versus the fact that you're actually a fan of a rival team. Those are two different things. I think what she's going to be more comfortable with is this next guy that she went out with, which is Jeff, because Jeff he may not be alumni of Georgia, but he likes he likes the games. He watches the games every week, and he likes the team. Something about Jeff, to me, when I saw Suzanne with Jeff, I felt like she was more settled with Jeff. When she was with Avery, I felt like they're both high energy, and she was trying to stay up on that energy. But what I'm thinking is Suzanne doesn't want to always be this high in energy. I think she's got a lot of energy, but I think she wants a little bit of space to not have to be that sometimes. And for some reason, I felt like Jeff might be a better landing for her, The other part I realized about Suzanne is Suzanne does like to be the center of attraction. Big hair, big personality, big everything. And there's nothing wrong with that. And so as a result, I think she's going to need a partner who gives her that space to be that woman, but likes it and admires it, which sometimes means you don't want to get a person who matches your energy. You want to get a person who's a little less than you. Just like the expert was trying to tell Lori, you don't need your twin flame. You kind of need a guy a few notches below, but then you also need to learn how to tone it down sometimes. That's who I'm going to say Suzanne needs. Jeff was coming off a few notches below, right? But yet still maybe being able to enjoy a lot of things that she likes to do. He said he's easygoing. He's an easygoing personality. He's 59 years old, divorced. He's been single for 10 years. He's got 3 kids, and he's a silver fox. What he really liked about her was her taste in music, her southern rock and roll. He liked the fact that she was sophisticated and she was classy. Um, he said that those were all things that were he likes that she had traveled, all these things that he liked to do. I mean, she was born in Saudi Arabia. She's lived in Italy or traveled to Italy a lot. His family is Italian. Remember before she said she liked an Italian man. Remember she had said that before? So these two are trying to set up going out on a second date. I hope they do. I want to see how she pairs with this guy, Jeff, who's a few notches below her in terms of energy versus with Avery, when I think Avery can match her energy. And what Avery was doing was she felt Avery was going a little bit too fast. Avery was ready to get in that bedroom and get it going and roll around those sheets. And Suzanne was like, I have not done this in a lot of years. And I think that was too much too fast for Suzanne. And she wants to sort of slow it down. And I think she feels like Jeff is going to be a little bit of a slower pace and maybe she could do him. We'll have to see. We'll have to see. And then lastly, we met this guy named Greg. He's 61, divorced, single for 12 years. He owns a construction company. He's got 2 sons. One is special needs. He's been on the dating apps. He says it's been a train wreck. And he says what happens to him is women just ghost him. Women just ghost him. But he run around here talking about he wants a woman in shape and he got that big old pot belly. Boy, okay. And then he wants someone that's exciting and fun and interesting. Then he gets this firecracker woman, Kelly, who's 59, that want to go water skiing. And he down here gonna go out there and kill himself just to prove to Kelly that he's young and vibrant. But he ain't going to do that every weekend, Kelly. Girl, you too much for Greg. Greg is not going to want to do all this. He wants someone who's a family unit, that's into faith, and who's also very pretty. I don't see these two making it. I don't think that they're matched well at all. So we'll see if they make it. We'll see if they make it. Kelly, who's 59, she's got 4 children, 4 grandchildren. She's divorced, single for 11 years. She's a dental hygienist. She was married for 26 years herself, and she grew up in the ski world. I don't know. Let me not count them out so soon. We'll see if Greg can keep up with her. But I think he did this whole water skiing thing to show to her that he still got a little bit in him. But I know when he went home afterward, he had to take an Advil. I know he took an Advil or a leave. I know he was hurting. But we'll see. We'll see if they end up making it. But that's it, y'all. Come back next time and we'll wrap up the whole series. I'll be, like I said, I did number 1 already. Then I did in the next video with 2 and 3. This is 4, 5, and 6. And then the next video will be 7 and 8. That's it, y'all. That's all I got. Talk to y'all later. Bye. You can run, but you can't hide.